Hello, everybody. Good evening to Praan Foundation's webinar, Not All Talk. This is going to be the last webinar for the year 2020 and also the last webinar on the topic work-life balance. And I really want to thank everybody for joining us for all the webinars so far and all the discussions and the question and answers so far. So we started this year where we discussed with a human resource manager about, the difficulties from an organizational perspective and, a mental health perspective for people working from home, people going to work. Also, then we, took your questions, some really relevant questions, some really interesting questions, and we were able to answer them for you. And today, as an extension of our webinar activity, we do have Ms. Sudeepa Singh, who's going to be sharing her story with us of how the pandemic has been for her experience in the pandemic, and how she has managed through and through, with the pandemic. So let's have, Ms. Sudeepa Singh join us. And before I welcome her on board and, get into a very candid conversation as a real people, real stories, let me just introduce Ms. Sudeepa. So Ms. Sudeepa is a data scientist with over 10 years of experience in machine learning, deep learning, and advanced data analytics using large multivariate databases. She also holds expertise in creating intelligent business solutions powered by machine learning, thereby helping businesses to achieve operational excellence, efficient resource management, and enable time-sensitive financial planning. To top it all off, and something that really makes me very excited to speak with her, she's a fitness enthusiast. So let's get into a conversation with Ms. Sudeepa and see this entire pandemic, work from home and everything. So just give us a minute till we get connected with her. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. I know it's really early morning for you, and it's just like so good to have you with us.
No worries at all. I am usually a morning person. I wake up around 6 a.m. anyway. So it's a good time for me to talk.
Great. Thank you once again. So, actually, there's a lot that I want to know, in terms of it's good to be able to speak with you, to be able to understand how a lot of people have experienced and faced this pandemic. So, why don't we start off with a time before the pandemic hit the world? So, why don't you share, your life with us before the pandemic started?
Yeah, the life was quite different, I would say, before the pandemic started. I'll probably start with my work routine. I have a big team that I am managing, and usually there is a lot of social interactions, the kind of culture that we have in my work setup. There was a lot of social interactions that were happening. We tried to keep a very friendly culture. We would go out usually for coffee breaks or maybe for lunch breaks very frequently. Considering that, sorry, there's a cat here in the that's part of my ways of coping with the lack of social interactions. I got a cat for myself in the pandemic.
We also welcome her to the live with us.
Anyway, so going back to that, so there was a lot of social interactions, I feel, which definitely suffered as the whole social isolation thing happened and the lockdown started. So that was one aspect. Other than that, I feel like my routine was a little bit more structured, in the sense I knew exactly what time I will be going to my workout routines in the morning, and then what is my travel time. I'll reach my work. I know this is the time that I have to work, and then once I'm done my work, I'm done my work. There's a stop there. I can go back to my house, go back to the frame of mind where I can spend time with myself, do something that's meant for me. However, after the pandemic started, that kind of variation just stopped. It was more like everything was a blur. You're waking up at the same spot. You're starting your day at the same spot. My gym is my home. My work is my home. And then everything ends while you're still there. So I feel it took a little bit of a while for me to kind of understand what the transition is going to be like. There were no transitions happening. I was extending my hours of work. Usually if I'm done by 6 p.m., it would probably go up to 8 p.m. and I don't even realize. So there were little issues of that sort, I feel, that took some time to adjust. But mostly I would say, yeah, that was how my routine was before the pandemic. It was very structured, very organized. Yeah.
All right. Uh, so I think when the pandemic started, most of us assumed that it might be like a very minute adjustment or something on the lines of something that we have to like readjust to for a small period of time, maybe say a few months, but it's almost close to an year, and we've been living like this. So, what would you say were your major challenges in adjusting to the pandemic? And just before we go ahead, I think my voice is echoing off your device because of the surface you've placed it on.
Okay, let me check. Let's see if it's better now.
Is it better? Yeah, absolutely fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, it should be okay now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for adjusting it.
Except that my cat keeps going to the frame and he wants to.
I mean, if she wants to pour into the video and share how the pandemic has been for her, absolutely ready to listen to her.
So sorry. So your question was, how did I make the adjustments, right? So
yeah, like your top challenges and the adjustments.
One adjustment is this for sure. The piece that I was talking about, where I wanted to have some sort of a social interaction going. I think this is something that definitely was a good idea because he keeps me busy all the time. Like I was saying, I'm a very social person. I love having interactions with people. I love going out and doing things. However, none of that was possible. So getting a pet for myself, I feel definitely helped me in that way. Other than that, I feel the way I adjusted was give yourself a little bit more time. And I felt like by just being a little bit more structured and planned again, adjusting with the new routine, kind of putting slots over things, right? So things are not just flowing over into other aspects of my life. So if my workout routine is in the morning and I want to work out, say from, like I said, I'm a morning person, so I'm waking up at 6. I would want to start working out by 6:30 or maybe 7 a.m. I would know that I will be done by 9, and I would not want to extend it after that. Once I'm done, I did make sure, even though I'm at home, I don't want to sit in my pajamas all day. I would want to dress up, just feel like I am still going to work. It feels nice when you're dressed up. It feels nice when you're looking good or whatever. So I would still do all that. And then I had a dedicated place, which I would call my office. And I would go there and I start my routine. Well, the work structure pretty much remained the same. Instead of meeting in person, we were having Zoom meetings with people. So I feel like that aspect didn't change a lot. Definitely it's better when you're in person with people, but still I would say with the new technology and the way the Zoom meetings are conducted, it's still pretty useful. You still feel connected personally. So I wouldn't say that aspect changed a lot. I did start, there was again a transition period. Initially I wasn't doing this as much, but then I intentionally made a choice that if it is my lunch break, I am going to take a lunch break. So if 12 to 1, I usually, when I was at work, if I was stepping out, I would still want to step out. I have a really nice lake conservation area around me, so I would go out for a walk, maybe for even 15-20 minutes. I would go have my lunch over there and then come back and then start the rest half of my day for work. And then another thing, like I said, put things into bins. So if I'm done with my work, I'm done with my work. By 5:30, I would finish it off, and then I would go out, have that transition, and then go on with my daily routine. So I would say one big change that I made was this, binning my day and then sticking to it. I feel just adding a little bit more discipline in my mind that if I've decided this, then I have to do it. That was the other aspect. I have a really nice close circle of friends. Once the government had allowed those social circles, we did try to have those interactions as much as we can as well. So it wasn't like we were going out and doing whatever, but at least once in a while we would meet each other, have some sort of a, conversation going. If not possible, at least on Zoom. We've had a lot of happy hours. We've had a lot of sessions where we would just have fun and chat and do whatever. So things like that. I think kind of having that kind of balance where you have a structured day, but you're also taking some time out for fun and entertainment. I think that is something that really helped.
I mean, this is just out of my personal interest and curiosity, but I wanted to know if, the fitness routine that you stick to, or, the fact that, you're so sure about your entire fitness routine and, you have a very regimented life with your fitness. Do you think that had an impact on how you were able to easily structure through the day or structure through your routine? Because I mean, I do understand that if you're a fitness enthusiast, you definitely have it's a certain way you live your life, right? So do you think that working out or releasing the hormones, and I mean, gym was closed of course, but I'm sure you just stuck to your routine even through the entire time. So do you think that had any impact on how you laid out your day, did your work and all of that?
Definitely, because my gym routine is usually in the morning, so I feel it kind of gives me that kickstart. You have to wake up at that right time. You have to make sure that you're working out. The hormones, I guess, it releases in your mind also kind of gives you that boost where you feel energetic. You've already done one major thing and it's done and it's out, right? So I feel that definitely helps me in the sense like I've already given my brain a boost. I've given my body a boost. I'm feeling good that I worked out. And then after that, I can kind of just start my day and just do whatever I have to do. I do feel a lot, like I feel very passionately about fitness. I've been active pretty much all my life, but it was very recent that I started strength training and things like that. And I feel like it's been a big factor that has helped me in terms of just coping with this big change that happened in all of our lives all of a sudden.
Definitely.
Yeah, and also, when you're I feel like training is not just about your physical upbeing, it's a lot more about your mental upbeing.
Right.
Because, you need that mental discipline, you need that mental strength to be able to keep going when your body is kind of giving up. So I feel that has definitely been helping me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, well, thank you so much for sharing this with us because, this entire month we've probably spoken with specialists and we've spoken with HR people. And while they have asked, each one of us to try to stick to our normal as much as we can, I think you're a live example and quite a good at being a live example of, how sticking to your routine as much as possible can definitely be very, very helpful. So I think listening to you is definitely inspired me, and I'm sure it's also like inspiring a lot of our listeners to try to stick to their normal as much as possible because that's what is going to pull us through the entire thing. Just moving to this last question for the evening. Like you were just sharing with us in the beginning that you do work with a large team, like you do have a lot of people working with you, and I'm sure that there have been a number of challenges that have come up in not only like delegating the work and getting the work done or working yourselves, but there have also been challenges where a lot of their personal lives have been influenced or have had an influence on their professional work. So maybe mothers with children or people with older people at home or people who've contracted the virus and have reported it to you. So how is it working with these teams and these pockets of people who posed a new set of challenge very different from probably what you've seen throughout your work life?
So are you asking me how did we deal with situations of that sort?
Yes.
Yeah, there have been some situations, I would say, at work specifically, where people had to go through some challenging situations regarding their family. There was one of my employees whose family lives all the way in Iran, and at the very last minute, they had to travel all the way to Iran in the middle of the pandemic when borders were kind of closed. So it was a tough decision in that sense for us because we had no idea whether that person would be coming back at all. So there were situations of that sort during the pandemic that we had to deal with, but I feel the human angle is really important in situations of this sort. you can't really just be thinking from your work perspective. You can't
Absolutely.
always just be thinking, oh, my work is going to suffer, or my team might not be able to produce the results the way it was supposed to be producing. When the situation is as extraordinary as it is right now, you have to, I think, go back to your human instincts and see what's important at that level, because that's what I guess matters the most. So just putting that into perspective, and then letting people, not being too hard on your team members, letting them be, trying to understand that everything is okay at this time, because everybody's going through it and we are all in it together. I think that is one thing that me as a manager did try to accomplish within my team. Another thing I feel was just keep the humor alive. Sometimes we get too zoomed in with the problems, and especially now when you don't have a lot to do, I feel like it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And I myself, I would blame myself as well. Like, as much as I'm talking about it, there have been a lot of moments where I have overwhelmed myself with work and not being able to focus on other aspects of my life, and kind of just draining myself with only work. But I feel keeping that humor alive, and everybody, when participates in that, it helps a lot. So specifically with my team at my work, we have been having like 1 hour sessions pretty much every week, where we do not talk about work. It's literally just playing games. We had this game the last time where, so in my team, except for me and one more person, most of the people are guys. So we had a game where we wanted everybody to disclose their favorite Disney princess, or if they have to dress up like a Disney princess, which Disney princess would that be? So considering that everybody is a guy, it was just nice, a nice fun little game where everybody was talking how they would want to dress up like a princess and whatever. So just kind of, little things like that go a long way, I feel, in situations like this. So yeah, I think two big things: keeping the human factor in perspective and letting people just take their time and adjusting with this situation, and second, just keeping that humor alive, I think, are the two big things I would say.
Uh, I mean, it's brilliant to be able to consider, or factor in these things, especially in times when you're, because the times are like really really unprecedented. You don't know when it's going to end. You don't know how long you're going to have to stay in this. And I think that these two strategies of just having the humor alive, and just having that human touch, which I don't think a lot of people in big organizations speak about, these two things, even in general, can go a long way. And I mean, you brilliantly factored it in, and had it in place. Since since I'm speaking with you, and I do see, and I've read your profile, and you've been working for so many years. Do you think that the pandemic has posed special challenges for women who are working anywhere across the globe, not specifically in Canada, not specifically in India, but do you think that women all across the globe have faced any special challenges due to the pandemic?
I'm pretty sure, yes. I do feel the women across the globe have a little bit more responsibilities. Specifically, like, I know I come from India, so I completely understand how the situation is in India, even though people are opening up and things are changing. But I still feel the responsibilities of the household kind of still fall on the women. Taking care of the kids, making sure there's food on the table and stuff like that still happens. And there's nothing wrong about it. But I do feel the women have to multitask a little bit more than normal. So I'm considering now that the situation is such, I feel that multitasking definitely has increased. The work expectations still remain the same. It's not like your employees would kind of understand, okay, because you're a woman and you have to do a lot more things at your house now, or taking care of the kids. The kids are not even going to school; they're at home. So kind of, okay, so I'll give you a leeway and you can be kind of relaxed. No, it's not going to happen. The employees and their work still has full expectations. So I feel meeting expectations still at that same 100% level at work and home would be challenging for women. And I'm pretty sure the pandemic would have taken that toll. But like I said, I feel making wise choices, letting go of certain things. If it's not important, it's not important. the family coming in together. Again, the family also considering the human factor. The women in the family is a human at the end of the day, and they are trying to balance. So kind of everybody, when they jump in and take it as a joint task, then I think it is something that is manageable.
Brilliant. So we do have a lot of listeners on the call today who are, working professional themselves in terms of, studying, managing their studies with, the pandemic or, working with the pandemic. What message would you like to give out to them from a managerial perspective, from a person-to-person perspective? So what would you want to say to these people?
I would just want to say that, the situation is extraordinary, 100%. But a little bit of a discipline would go a long way. Being mindful and making wise choices, I think, helps a lot. And then at the end of the day, everybody is together in this. So just being a little bit more thoughtful and kind to each other would help everybody. Giving each other that human touch. Just being available, making sure that everybody is going through a hard time. Some might be might be even dealing with a little bit more harder time as compared to someone else. So just kind of keeping that in perspective and understanding that the situation is extraordinary. All we need to do is be kind, and for ourselves, just be disciplined. I think that is one thing that I would say would help us all.
I know this has been a rather short conversation, but I would not stop myself from saying that it's one, been really insightful, and secondly, it's been really, really inspirational to be able to connect with you, to be able to speak with you, and to be able to see the grace with which you've carried not only yourselves but your work through the pandemic. I do hope that all the viewers get to take with them a certain lesson from this conversation. And I just want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sudeepa. It was really, really great speaking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. To everybody who's viewing this webinar with us, we just had Ms. Sudeepa who's joined and spoken with us about how she has dealt with the pandemic. Just to close this session on the topic for the month, I would like to add that definitely these times have been very difficult. Definitely, and we're not even sure for how long they're going to last. Every time we do walk forward, we probably come across a stumbling block. But I don't think that should stop us from having hope, stop us from knowing that this is going to come to an end. And, just like Ms. Sudeepa was just saying, be kind, stay in touch, try to stay connected with as many people as possible. This will end someday. But in the process of ending, it's teaching us a lot of things. So do take lessons from this. Do stay connected with everybody. Do reach out to people who need your help. Do reach out to the distressed and stay connected with Praan Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us for all the webinars on work-life balance. Hope to see you around. Bye.